What's up, everybody? It's your boy Ryan, and this is the Thunder Channel on Nootropics. Thanks so much for being with me. Every shred of information we put on this channel is brought to you by a couple products. Right now, the Cortex stack. Look, powerful pre-made stack made for entrepreneurs, people that just need to be productive. 30% off at livecortex.com. Just use the coupon code 30. It is a good deal. A better deal on the Cortex stack is the Cortex double stack, and that's 2 bottles of Cortex, each of which are $24. You can find the double stack at the homepage at livecortex.com. Listen, if you're brand new to nootropics and you just want to stop rummaging around Reddit and all the other nootropics forums that have disparate information on how you should dose and what you should expect and what you should stack together, just start with Nootropics Ground Zero. It clears all that up. It's the most comprehensive video course on teaching you how to get to the 3-year mark using nootropics if you're brand new. You can find that at livecortex.com. If you are in already, like 2-3 years, and you just want to really up your game, take your usage and results to the masterclass, that's defined as the 6-year mark, go snag the Nootropics Masterclass. It is a video course that I created intended to help you do that. $55 even, no coupon code, livecortex.com. If you're a guy that needs to raise tests, you guys are the deal. VTP, most powerful test raising protocol on the web. Get it at livecortex.com. That's 30% off if you use the coupon code 30 as well. And then last couple things, look, if you're a business person, just a serious person that needs high-level cognitive performance, elite performance, either get the 1 month, the 3.5 month, or 6 month intensive, because these are biohacking, hands-on, results-driven consults where you're working directly with me to achieve that outcome. I have yet to not get a person performing incredibly in those consults. If you've got the budget, go for the 3.5 month or the 6 month. The 3.5 month and the 6 month also apply to PSSD, something that Cortex Labs is at the forefront of, and we get great results with. If there's any question about what applies to you, please email me, ryan@livecortex.com. Okay, so I want to talk about why phased dosing on nootropics works better for some people rather than just taking a one-off big dose of your stack in the morning. So what phased dosing really means is that there are some people for whom taking a stack in the morning of like some racetams, maybe some Noopept, some energy compounds, some dopamine center compounds, and then taking pretty much that same stack in the same dose or in slightly lower doses or maybe even slightly higher doses later on in the day, say like 2 or 3 p.m. And that seems to work better for them than just taking one high dose, one off dose in the morning, right? They get good functionality in the morning from their first dose of the stack, and then they get great functionality in the afternoon leading into sort of the early evening from the second dose of the stack. First, I want to say this. I think that a lot of people could get great results with that approach because, look, you wake up in the morning, and depending on when you wake up, you might need energy and brain function for the first part of your day. Usually everybody that works from early in the morning until like 1 or 2 p.m. or something, you expend a good bit of your energy during that time, especially if you're sort of diligently, consistently working on something. Cerebral work is going to deplete cerebral resources regardless. And so a lot of people can benefit from a stack later on in the day after they take a morning stack. But some people, though, it's best for them to just take a one-off morning stack, like some modafinil, some aniracetam, maybe some Alcar for energy, B vitamins, some fish oil, and they kind of just rock throughout the rest of the day. Their energy doesn't dip. This is the important part in the afternoon, and they kind of just feel functional throughout the rest of the day. Not saying that stack is going to last 9 hours because, as we know, racetams are pretty short-lived. But some people just have like really, really great baseline energy that they can take a stack in the morning, and that's all they need. Usually, I'm in that category. But for others, there are reasons why phased dosing works better, and I want to run through 5 of them. Number 1, fluctuating cortisol levels, or really abnormal cortisol levels. There are some people for whom they don't make enough cortisol in the morning when they wake up. You're supposed to be really cranking out cortisol as you're waking up. It's partly why you spring out of bed energized for people that cortisol levels function regularly. But for some people, whether it's an adrenal hormone issue or some sort of other hypothalamus-related issue, because there's a lot of different syndromes and conditions that interfere with regular hypothalamus function, and thus adrenal hormone signaling function, that they don't make enough cortisol in the morning. So, okay, those people, while they rely on nootropic stacks in the morning to get them functioning, and it helps to an extent, right, and gets them kind of up and going and moving, and perhaps maybe modifies cortisol levels. I mean, there's plenty of nootropic compounds that actually will facilitate cortisol production, things like St. John's wort, and then non-nootropic things like licorice root. But for said people, cortisol tends to rise a little later on in the day. Usually it's in the early evening. We're talking about 4 or 5 p.m., but for some people it starts to happen around 2 p.m. And for those people, they do better on nootropic stacks put together in the afternoon, right? Still a phased approach where in the morning, because they don't have enough cortisol, they're not making enough of it, they take a nootropic stack. Maybe they modify cortisol, maybe they don't. But ultimately, they sort of band-aid that lack of energy with nootropics and then get themselves functional for the first part of the day. Then cortisol actually starts to rise later on in the day, and though they have energy, I think people have realized and learned that they could take a stack then and compound upon the rising cortisol that's happening in the kind of late afternoon, early evening time frame, and then just get a really synergistic effect between the cortisol and the nootropic stack. And then they've got pretty much good solid rockin' sustainable mental endurance and performance through the night until they stop working. That's number one. Number two is people who work out in the middle of the day. A workout, like, so say you wake up, you take a stack, and then you go to town and do work for a couple hours. Your brain gets a little tired, you stop. And then you hit the gym, which I think is a great idea. It's a great way to kind of break this up. The kind of neurotransmitter reset that takes place and speeding up of the metabolism of the compounds that have been in your system, and then the subsequent kind of brain regulation that takes place is very noticeable when you do that, right? You go to the gym, 2 p.m., you have a hard workout, you go home, you have a post-workout meal, pretty much everything changes at that point. Your brain is in a completely different place, almost renewed in a way where if you take a stack, because now you have this whole sector of work to do in the second part of your day. I mean, this is also schedule dependent. A lot of business people do this exact thing. Go run their companies in the morning, stop, do a workout in the middle of the day, reset everything, and then take nootropics moving forward. Then you sort of have kind of a new brain to approach taking a stack with, and then you get subsequent better performance. This just seems to work better, these phased dosing strategies for people that work out in the middle of the day. The third reason that it seems to work better for people is simply a demand for brain function. Aside from cortisol, aside from working out, what if none of those things are the case? What I've seen in people that respond better to phased dosing approaches like this, broken up in the morning and in the afternoon, is simply the demand for their brain is more. So they take a stack in the morning, they function pretty awesome, they get their stuff done, but then again, like you're taxing cerebral function consistently. I don't care what stack you have, I mean, that's going to lower your ability to continue. And then folks just, because of the demand on their brain and what else they need to get done. I mean, I know people that have 40 item to-do lists every single day, 6 days a week, right? And so come 2 o'clock, they need an extra amperage raising, set of compounds to function throughout the rest of the day. The demand for their brain is more, and thus phased dosing split up into the morning and then late afternoon works better for them. Number 4, what I've seen about people that have to take a lot of nootropics throughout the day and phased dosing works better is they're taking anticholinergic sleep compounds. Okay, this is something that never gets talked about in the nootropics community, but should be talked about. I've worked with a lot of people, and I have communicated with a lot of people that need to take multiple nootropics throughout the day in this phased approach. And one of the reasons is because they're taking compounds like Unisom and other sleep compounds. A lot of the sleep-inducing hardcore pharmaceutical drugs are anticholinergic in nature, and it's hard to pinpoint exactly how long the anti-brain acetylcholine signaling is taking place, right? It seems on the anecdotal side and from my observation that it could last all the way into the first part of the day. So people could be taking a stack in the morning. Okay, they get some alleviation from that because they're taking cholinergic stacks. They took Unisom the night before, right? So they've gotten inhibition on choline signaling sort of generally. The racetams or cholinergics try to counterbalance that or counteract it. and they get some sort of positive effect. But when the racetams or cholinergics wear off, they're sort of back to that place where choline is somewhat being inhibited. Now, obviously, the homeostasis has changed because they've induced more or rapid signaling of acetylcholine in various regions of the brain from the cholinergics that they've taken. But it seems to be the case that the Unisom, or the otherwise anticholinergic sleep agent, tends to kind of creep back up later in the day, and thus they need more nootropics to function throughout the rest of the day. That's a dynamic I've seen often enough. I definitely don't suggest for people, because you'd be wasting powder in that particular situation, and there's other ways to get to sleep besides inhibiting cholinergic activity with something like Unisom. So that's number 4. The last one I've seen is midday naps. Midday naps. Now, this is the same concept as like working out in the middle of the day, because midday naps tend to reset the brain in a way. I know that's very unscientific, but I mean, I'm sure it can be explained scientifically. People that take midday naps do better when they take a stack in the morning, they go to town really, really hard on business and work, and then they stop, unwind for an hour or so, maybe eat something, and then take a nap. And then when they wake up from the nap, give themselves some time to wake up, come out of it, slowly get into work, and then take a nootropic stack. Those people, of all of these different examples, actually tend to function the best, right? Because they're functioning pretty good in the morning, they work a lot, and then they take a nap. And there's really nothing like a midday nap for like extending your energy through the night. Like, you'll stay up just a little bit later. And if you don't, like if you're somebody who just like doesn't have issues sleeping no matter what, like me, I love that. I just go to sleep all the time. I like pillows right there, like nighttime, like I'm out. Then these people have functional energy because of the nap, but then adding a nootropic stack on top of that, they just do extremely well. And there's resetting of neurotransmission even on short naps, which allows a person to get a better response to nootropics. It's almost like neurotransmitters are kind of primed to function good again from a small nap. Okay. So those are the 5 things that I've noticed in people that do phase dosing, like a stack in the morning and then a stack in the afternoon. These are the 5 reasons why that might work for somebody. People that respond to just one-off stacks in the morning, I think a lot of people are like, man, I wish I was like that. It really does have to do with really, really kick-ass baseline energy, right? Because, for me and a lot of other people that I've discussed this with or maybe work with, clients of mine on the nootropic side and the cognitive optimization side, pretty much everything else is so in line, whether it's diet or sleep or general function, hormonal function, energy baseline function, electrolyte function, blood sugar function, all that stuff is so well in line. They don't need, midday naps. They don't have fluctuating cortisol levels. I mean, the demand for their brain is obviously significant because most of these people are business people. They're not taking anticholinergic sleep compounds. They don't need a nap in the middle of the day. They just need a one-off stack in the morning, gets them functioning. And sure, around 3 p.m., they might be a little tired and their brain is not going to be functioning as it was at 9 after they took modafinil and oxiracetam and some Alcar, but their brains function pretty damn good regardless throughout the rest of the day. And that's ultimately the goal that we all want to get to. The point where you wake up, you have some coffee, you throw down a nootropic stack that is targeted to what you have to get done. And then for the rest of the day, you don't need to be taking any nootropics. You can just function pretty awesomely and be super productive. Hope that makes sense. Hope that helps. Hope that's been interesting for you folks. Thanks so much for listening. Remember, guys, Cortex Stack, 30% off livecortex.com. Just go get a bottle or 2. Use the coupon code 30. It'll take 30% off the price. Right now, powerful mental energy, motivation, mental sustenance, and verbal fluency with the Cortex Stack. Better deal is the Cortex Double Stack. That's 2 bottles, but each of the bottles are $24. That's the cheapest the Cortex Stack has ever been if you buy 2. You can find the Double Stack at the homepage, livecortex.com. If you are new to nootropics, stop here. Get the Nootropics Ground Zero video course. It will teach you how to get to the 3-year mark in using nootropics, and stop sort of rummaging the web for all this disparate information with people disagreeing on what you should do. Just start with Nootropics Ground Zero. If you're in 2-3 years, but you just really want to substantially take your game up to the next level in usage and results with nootropics, get the Nootropics Masterclass. It's a video course that I created intended to help you do exactly that. Both of those courses are $55 even right now. No coupon codes. They're going up to their original prices soon, so get them ASAP. If you're a guy that needs to race test, Viking Testosterone Protocol. Cannot stress it enough. We will raise your test. And lastly, if you're a serious business person that just needs cognitive performance from the moment you wake up to the moment you're stopping working, which for most entrepreneurs, that's all day. Like you do not exit work mode. Even in your thinking, you're sitting thinking about work until your eyes close. The entire period that your eyes are open, you're thinking about work. Listen, you can get your brain optimized, and I have yet to fail at fully optimizing people's brain performance in that time frame. Either the 1 month, the 3.5 month, or the 6 month intensive. Those are hands-on, results-driven biohacking consults where you work directly with me to achieve that outcome. If you've got the budget, the 3.5 month and the 6 month is better because usually there's other issues that are causing people to have brain fog or lack of brain function, and we need time to get those settled. Get all that stuff at livecortex.com. The 3.5 month, but better yet, the 6 month also apply to a horrific condition that I'm at the forefront of solving called PSSD. If there's any question about what applies to you, please email me, Ryan at livecortex.com. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Talk to you next time.